turn off the.
Shalom, everyone, as you get settled and people join us. Just enjoy the noodling. Little humorous poll to respond to while we get ready to start too.
So can we turn this thing? Figure that out how to do it.
Yeah.
Shalom and welcome everyone. It's great to see all of you and have you with us for Shabbat as we reach across the virtual divide and spend a little time together and create some sacred space together. I know the poll question may not feel so sacred, but I just thought having a little fun as we wandered in. So not a very varied response to the poll, but that's all right. I'll get you used to that. As we start our service and create this space, I invite us all to take just a few moments to reflect and settle in. Who knows what space we're in our home? It may be a common space that we use for lots of different things. So our challenge is to create a little sacred space within that. So we could do that anywhere. And with all of our kavana, our focus at the same time, we help each other do that too. So I ask you to take a moment and just first don't pay attention to your space, but to close your eyes and to take a few moments just to focus on your ruach, your breath, and nothing else. There'll be thoughts, there'll be feelings that might come to mind, but just push them away, nudge them away a little bit as you focus a bit more on your inhale and your exhale. Make them a little more drawn out, a little deeper, a little smoother. You feel your chest and shoulders up with the inhale and the relaxation of them releasing with the exhale. I want you to take that ruach of yours and use it as a tool. Imagine your sacred space inside your mind that's just a simple room, and it's filled with things, the concerns, the worries, the stuff to do of the world and the week. Use that ruach, and as you inhale, collect all those things, whatever shape or form they may take. You can't get them all in one breath, but take some and pick them up with your breath. Gather them, and with your exhale, let them go. Take a few cycles of that, picking up that gathering and letting go, with the goal being to make that inner room empty and clear and pure. Get rid of those worries, concerns. Just be here, just be now, in that open, pure space, sharing our open, clear spaces. Take a moment, enjoy that purity of that space, its cleanliness, its clarity. When you open your eyes, you will be part of all of our spaces that we're creating. As we reach across the screens and the clouds and all those things out there to welcome Shabbat together. These are our words, our melodies, our simple connectedness. Help us welcome Shabbat tonight. We begin with a nigun.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya did it I, did it I, did it I, did it I. Yai da 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 da, yai 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 da da da. Die, 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 diddy die, diddy die, diddy die. Yai da die 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 die. Yai 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 da die 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 die. Yai die 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 die. Yai die 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 die. Yai die die die. One more time. Yai die 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 die. Yai die 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 die. Yai die 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 die. Yai die 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 die.
So we welcome now Shabbat in all her glory. We think of her as the bride or queen who comes to be with us. And before we sing and welcome her with this medieval mystic poem, let's take just a moment or two. And what do we hope she brings to us this week, to us personally, to our house, to our family, to our world? Some more of something from this past week, bringing something that was lacking. What it is that we want her to bring in her entourage as she arrives for Shabbat this week. Chadodi, everyone.
L'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat nekavela l'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat nekavela shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad yishmi'amdu Adonai echad u'shmo echad v'shemo tiferet v'litila l'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat nekavela l'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat Kabbalat Likrat Shabbat Mechuvan Elkam Ki Mekor HaBracha Meirosh Mikedem Nesucha Sof Ma'aseh Ma'aseh Shabbat Tehila L'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat Pandei Shabbat nekavela L'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat nekavela Itorari Itorari Kiva Orech Sorry, I had the verse. Uri, Uri, Shir Daveri, Kevod Adonai, Allah Yefeklat, L'chadodi l'kerakala, yalalai, 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 pandei Shabbat, nekavela, L'chadodi l'kerakala, yalalai, yalalai, pandei Shabbat. Last verse. Boi v'shalom ateret Allah, gam b'simcha u'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, l'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai 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 pandei Shabbat nekavela l'chadodi l'kerakala yalalai yalalai pandei Shabbat nekavela.
So now that we welcome Shabbat, I'd like us to have a go at trying to welcome one another. And I'd really like to encourage you to use the chat function. So you just hit the chat somewhere in your bar and you could go the easy route, just do a Shabbat Shalom to everyone. But I also ask you to find someone else on the list individually. If you click their name, you can actually give them a direct Shabbat Shalom. So I see a couple people starting already. So please reach out, same way, just like we were in person, and wish someone out there Shabbat Shalom. Nice job, everyone. Very good. I see a few everyone's out there. Hopefully you're also finding someone individually. All right. I hope you've welcomed by someone out there. And let's continue as we hopefully are a bit settled, feel connected, and feel the spirit of our kahila, our community, and are able to dwell more deeply in not just that community, but our own prayerful space. And so we turn to the Baruch Hu as that invitation to sit, to reside, to dwell in that space together.
La 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai havorach. Baruch Adonai havorach leolam va'ed. Baruch hu et Adonai havorach. Baruch Adonai havorach leolam va'ed. May we find the one to whom we all belong. May we know the one now and forever. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya 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 la 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 la.
So from that invitation towards contemplating the simple truth, the big idea of our unity, of our connectedness, and they're all part of one. And sometimes the world makes it easy to do that. Sometimes the world makes it more challenging to not just understand that, but to feel it. So when it is that way, instead of getting to that last word on the line, echad, one, we just start with the Shema. Because sometimes it means we need to quiet down and just pay attention a little bit more. Shema, pay attention to listen. So we may not be getting to understanding it or feeling that unity, but we still have that charge, that obligation, that challenge to listen and see it and pay attention. So we sing these words to be reminded of that connectedness, but also of our work to Shema, to pay attention, to take notice.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
move from the possibility of unity, of that connectedness, to our redemption story, our move from slavery, from limits to liberation and freedom. So before we sing, I know a part of our lives right now is a wrestle or appreciation of freedom by our lack of it, the limits placed in us. Maybe I'd like us to think more concretely for the moment. What's something this past week in this current COVID pandemic world that the limit of it, the slavery of it, the bondage of it has just been a little too much, a little frustrating? What's something that you wanted to do, you couldn't do, that you missed doing this past week? Perhaps you could type it out there on the chat. We can see what it is. That's for everybody. And what is something you feel a little Egypt about, a little enslaved about, a little limited, that frustrated you? Oh. Just if you can, put it on the chat out there. I put mine out there. What is something that you appreciate the freedom of it now that you do not have? Easy one to guess. Invite a friend in. I see that. They're playing down there. I just wanted to go down to Coors and 20th and Blake and just sit outside while they play the game. But didn't do that. Movies, yeah. I get that too, going out to eat. Those are things. So freedom takes all kinds of shapes. It's a spectrum. Sometimes it's the profound social justice things. Sometimes it's these elements. So we sing Micah Mocha and think of our freedom and redemption and our story. Appreciate your freedoms we do have, and maybe give us perspective on what we do and we hope to do in the future. Micah Mocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא צהילו וספלה, נורא צהילו וספלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילו וספלה, תהילו וספלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
So we come now to the heart of our prayers, our tefillah, that if you remember how our service is structured, that we don't walk in just dramatically to an encounter with the holy, with the divine. We have to kind of warm up, kind of like an exercise. We want to perform our bodies at peak efficiency. We don't just start running or swimming or doing whatever that may be. We have to tone up, loosen up those muscles so that we're ready to have the maximum workout. I think our spirits work the same way. And all that we've been doing are probably that loosening, that warming up of our spiritual muscles. And hopefully we're a little more inclined, a little more able to encounter the sacred in a way that we weren't when we first moved in, when we first started. Simply by being together, by spending this time with this focus. And so tonight our tefillah will take the form of kirtan, as we've done many other times in the past. Now kirtan, if you remember, is call and response form of prayer. And this kirtan is names God as one of God's names, makom, the place. It's a name we use when we are comforting the bereaved, and we offer that this name of God is where the source of comfort is. And perhaps we think of God as the place in which the universe sits. And so wherever we go, under every rock and every corner, we cannot help but to find some aspect spark of the divine. So perhaps these words, the music, call and response, will help create that space for each of us to have that encounter with the more, what is greater than us, the hamakom, the place of the universe. So we're call and response. So Hal will lead us in the call, and we'll respond as the Spirit moves us.
Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. That's right. Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Again. Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Shekhinah, 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 Shekhinah. Havaya, 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 Havaya. El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon. Oh, Hamakom, 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 Hamakom hazeh. Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Hamakom, hamakom, hamakom hazeh. Adonai, 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 Adonai. Shekhinah, 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 Shekhinah. Havaya, 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 Havaya. El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon, El Elyon. Oh, hamakom, 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 hamakom.
Take all moments on our own for our own personal, private contemplation and prayer.
Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. And I say, everything is gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be alright. Yeah. Everything is gonna be alright. Yeah. Everything is gonna be alright. I say, oh, say shalom. Oh, say shalom. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oh, say shalom.
So now we turn our focus, our intention and attention to people in our lives in the world who face some type of illness, some physical or emotional or mental challenge that threatens them. And I think or for at least for me personally, I don't know that I believe that, I do know, I believe there's a God up there who I'm asking is going to heal this person or that person. I don't believe that, but I do believe that good intentioned people with that focus, with that sincerity of heart, who collect their energy and spirit and direct it to people who are challenged, I believe that does impact them, that does help them. Does it fully heal? Does it magically make all the difficult things go away? Probably not. But I do believe that what we do here creates a wave, even a ripple, that reaches those in need. So that's why we take time to do this prayer and even mention those people who are specific to us in our lives. So if you want, you can add on the chat. Of course, everyone in the world who's facing the challenges of COVID-19, people in our community, or people known to our community, Scott Albin, Marilyn Isaacs, Evan Silverman, Miriam Swihart, and anyone else who you may be thinking of and want to name. We take them all into our thoughts and prayers as we offer our prayer for healing tonight. It comes from our reggae experience from Jimmy Cliff, a prayer for healing. I can see clearly now.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I away. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Oh, it's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Yeah, it's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
Now, begin our ending, if you will. Don't worry, not right away. We still have some more time together. But Elena usually begins the end, and it helps us wrap up the spirit, feelings, the sentiment that we hopefully have experienced that does and strengthen us, maybe grounded us as we prepare to go out into the world a little renewed and a little invigorated. And so the traditional Elena does that, and so do a lot of great contemporary music. And one of our favorite contemporary Elenus is Forever Young by Bob Dylan. So we let Elena begin to take us out.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous. Stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Oh, forever young. Oh, may you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Oh, forever young. Oh, may you stay forever young.
So as we gather in the power of community, we tap into that power and strength, and we mourn together. We acknowledge those who are mourning, which is all of us in some ways. So we're all at different points, different paths, remembering and grieving our loved ones. We make special note for whomever this Shabbat may be particularly poignant or raw, as it's a recent death or anniversary. So I'll share with you the names of those whose yahrzeits fall this week, and ask you to add the names of anyone else who you're thinking of this week, whether it's an anniversary that I don't have or just someone who you're thinking about and missing. Our Micah community's remembrance this week: Arnold Leibson, Arthur Weiner, Dorothy Halperin, Dorothy Leibson, Jerry Johnson, Hyman Nisselson, Joseph Karger, Joseph Shiroff, Katie Weltman, Martin J. Friedman, Sally Goldstein Bressel. So with those who I've mentioned and those who you're sharing, and even those who names have not made it to a list but are being thought of and remembered, we join together as a community and recite these words of Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitkadash me Rabbah, V'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlich mahute, V'chaye chon uv'yom echon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agala uv'izman karib v'imru amen. Yeshme Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu, Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, damiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehelam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May all those who are remembering still be lights part of our lives, and may we also remember, as we are enlightened and emboldened by those lights, to give strength and support to one another, and miss and love our loved ones. We all say amen. So as we gather tonight, just let me share with you a few things to note community-wise. Tomorrow morning, we are, well, I want to say we're going back to normal by any sense, but there are a few B'nai Mitzvah that we canceled or postponed when the pandemic first hit. And tomorrow, we're getting back in the saddle. Our Anshe Mitzvah students who've been studying for more than a year and a half now will lead Shabbat services tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Jen Nassie, Nancy Litwack-Strong, Mike McKee, and Kirsten Miller will lead our service tomorrow morning. Now, it will not be available on the Zoom platform. We will be there, they and just immediate family, and Yuri and I at the sanctuary will be on our Temple Micah YouTube channel, just live and stream. So that'll be live. You can click in. There was a link in my notes email. It's a link on the calendar. If you go to YouTube and just Google Temple Micah, Denver, Colorado, you should come up with our Micah page and click on there. You'll get on our live stream. And so join us and participate and be part of this historic moment in the life of our community. And we started a parade of rescheduled B'nai Mitzvah. The 8th tomorrow will be joined at 9 a.m., the Anshe Mitzvah, and then our more traditionally aged B'nai Mitzvah continue after that. The Note Mitzvah, twins, Hope and Campbell Levy will lead us on the 15th, Max Bauer on the 22nd. So we are back in that season, and we'll see how it goes. As I keep saying, I miss this class from rabbinic school. I'm making this up as I go along, but really it's been nice, challenging a little bit, but to be back in our space and to try to figure out how to make this work in our space. So you'll see us tomorrow morning doing that. Speaking of further down the month, where are you, Jess? I see you on there. Jessica, I'm going to unmute you. Is there something you can show us, Jessica?
Yeah.
You got a little someone? You'll see why. Jessica and Robert.
Here, she's sleeping.
Could you introduce us to?
Here.
Oh, there she is.
There she is. So she was
So
born.
in 2 weeks, Jessica and Robert are going to bring that precious little one to Shabbat in the park. Yeah, we're going back outside. And we are going to give her name and in her community. So thanks for indulging me, Jess.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So we'll back outside, same spot, Montclair Park, observing all the same protocols and distancing. So bring your masks, but Hal and I will be there. And I will say hopefully it doesn't rain, because the rain didn't stop us last time. It rained for the first 10 minutes and we still did our thing. So please consider joining us. That'll be our Shabbat service that in 2 weeks. And through our B'nai Mitzvah gonna happen again. Our Tish is still happening. So that'll happen at 10 a.m. on virtually on Saturday mornings, not tomorrow, but the 15th, 22nd as we go. We'll still be doing our Tish thing. So as I mentioned, we're getting back to things where it is striking to me. I've done B'nai Mitzvah for 26 years now. I've done B'nai Mitzvah at Temple Micah for 17 years. So up until this year, not that it was rote or anything like that, but kind of had a sign to it, kind of had an order, and I figured it all out. And this pandemic has just blown that up. The same thing I've done over and over again is completely new. To think about the technological part, the stream part, where we all stand and how we do the same rituals if we can or if we can't. And I'm doing that for B'nai Mitzvah, and we're thinking about religious school and Mishpacha, and we're planning high holidays, and whoosh, my head is just exploding. It is so focused on the logistics of doing what we normally do. The nuts and bolts, which are an important part, we couldn't do it without that. It is like this cloud, not a good cloud, like an internet cloud that hides all the stuff, but a cloud, a shadow, a callus almost, a blind that's over the essential part of it sometimes. I feel like I worry about losing touch with the spiritual part of all these things that we do. That is the essence of why we do them. Because my head is so filled and with these stumbling blocks to the essential piece. And this dynamic of this experience of feeling this challenge of doing what was normal things so harder, and almost the organizational energy of doing them takes away from the joy of doing them. I actually found that in the Torah portion this week. We're in Deuteronomy. We're in the portion called Akev, and Deuteronomy there's no new story here, as we've mentioned before. Moses is giving his final speeches, his farewell, and he's trying to give the people the best advice, the best perspective from where they've come and what they need to move on. And there's this wonderful, weird line in the Torah when he is giving them advice and talking to them about how they're going to move forward and how they're going to be successful. And in chapter 10, verse 16, he says, Umaltem et arlat levavchem. Umaltem, kat brit milah. Milah is a covenant of the cutting. Umaltem, cut away arlatem levavchem. Literally, the foreskin of your hearts. Better translation, cut away the thickening about your hearts. Circumcise your hearts. That's a line in this week's Torah portion. And it's a strange, compelling, wonderful line. And as I looked and tried to understand what the Torah meant by it, at least what our sages meant by it, they spoke to, I guess, where my heart is and the thickening around it, the stumbling block, the callus, the shadow. Rashi, the 11th century French commentator, says that this means remove the closure and cover on your hearts that prevents my words from gaining entrance. My being the capital M of God, that there's naturally, or in living in the world, there's something that gets in the way of its purity. Sforno, and also remembering that our ancestors, our ancients, heart wasn't just feeling as we moderns think about it, but it was the seat of intelligence too, of choice. And Sforno, the Italian commentator, says that it's fitting that you should remove the foreskin of your intelligence by examining and eliminating the errors of your thinking, which gave birth to false ideas. So suggesting too that somehow by making decisions and focusing on, the demands of what's out there in the world, that there are untrue things that get in the way too. What's affirming about this idea that this dynamic, at least that I'm experiencing, and it may be very personal and very narrow that I'm living it and seeing it, but I feel it's very true. That there's a purity, there's an essential element of well, why I do what I do, what I want from my life and from my relationships, from my world. But there are just sometimes, and because of the way our hearts work, our minds work, our souls work, that there become stumbling blocks, that things get in the way. And sometimes because it's errors we make, sometimes because we are perhaps not as focused or as true as we can be. Sometimes it's, well, there's things out of our control that the world throws at us that don't give us the time or energy because we're dealing with them, that build up those calluses to our hearts. All the more so that we got to be, I guess, moils in senses, in the symbolic sense only, but to cut away that foreskin, cut away that thickening that gets in the way, and do those things for us that are, well, help us get to the heart of the matter, so to speak. You know, I was thinking about this. One of the things that's sad about the pandemic is I miss my time at camp. One of my camps is in Indiana, and the director of that camp, Rabbi Ron Klotz, it reminded me of something that he did, which when I first was working with him, thought was just strange, and how could he do it? You know, running a camp is busy and demanding, and there's always something new every day that a kid needs, that a counselor needs, and you're really so consumed with making sure the kids are safe and fed and having all those just simple life necessities that sometimes you forget that your job is to be there in the magic of camp and create it and experience it. And Ron was a banjo player, and outside his office, once a week, he would take his banjo and he would put a door outside his office, which was kind of in a main traffic way of camp, and he would just pick at his banjo, just in the middle of everyone running to this program or that program. And he had 100 things to do, but there would be counselors and there would be kids of all ages, the young one, the old ones, and they would just stop and sit and listen, or they talk to him. And it just struck me in thinking about circumcising your hearts, about where I am, of the need to do those things that connect us to the heart of what we're about. Because Ron had very important things to do to make sure kids were safe and fed and things like that, and the pool ran. But the heart of what he did was those connections, those relationships with those kids, with those counselors, and just taking the time, even in the hecticness of it, to sit out there and be available, be accessible, helped him get to his heart of things. And I think that's important for us, and that's the charge and challenge I take from our Torah portion. Then I'll share with you too, to cut away the thickening of your hearts. Now, how we do that, perhaps, hopefully, sometimes the way we gather for Shabbat like this is a helpful tool towards that end. But I guess there's other things that are also personal to each of us that we do. So I charge you, I challenge you, I demand of you the essential importance to do this, to circumcise that thickening around your hearts, to get to the heart of what is most essential and important to you. And I have a feeling that if we all do that, not just we'll be better for it, but our world will be better for it too. Thank you, everyone. Amen. And Shabbat Shalom. And so we wrap up. Hal, what do you? Hopefully that inspires something in you to.
Yeah, I couldn't think of any circumcising your heart songs, but
Really, there's none out there.
You did mention.
Dylan did write something.
Could have written something real quick. You mentioned a lot of upcoming B'nai Mitzvot, Bar and Bat Mitzvahs, and I started thinking about that little celebratory song that we sing at those nice events. And then we got a baby in the room, so I think we should send this out to Jessica and Robert. And it means, good luck and good signs. Simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu. Landu, Yahelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. One more time, Simitov, Simentov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simentov, Simentov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simentov, Simentov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simentov, Yahelanu. Woo!
All right. Well, if you come to Shabbat in the Park, you might hear that again in a couple weeks too. Although Hal, I see Tim in the chat suggests take a piece of my heart from Janis Joplin now.
Good one.
We'll have to use that. We're learning how to use the chat function better. Well, maybe we'll take some requests next time. Well, it's great to be part of communing with all of you. I really appreciate us connecting and sharing your spirit together. I hope that the rest of Shabbat is wonderful and peaceful and reflective, and it leads you to a great week that you smile a bit and connect with the people you love. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Take care, and hopefully see some of you tomorrow morning at our Anshe Mitzvah service. Shabbat Shalom. Look at her.
She's clearly a little angry right now. Yeah.